Ukiingia una mute tafadhali and so open the last sitting question. We start with the last sitting question. We start with the last sitting question. So the question reads, so nani ako nayo tusome? Who can read the question for us? Who will read for us the question? Okay. Inamwaga ink ni sawa. So inasema Transline Ltd is a newly incorporated company. The director of are considering various alternatives of raising 200 million as a venture capital for new equipment. So the cost of new equipment, this one is December 2024. The question is question number 1C. Number 1C. So their cost. So they are raising. They are planning to raise 200 million. This is the cost for equipment. So this one represents 200 million venture to buy a new equipment. So to buy new equipment. So this 20 million is to buy new equipment. Buy new equipment. Is my board clear, Zach?
Yes, the board is clear.
So this company is sourcing 200 million to do what? To venture into this company. So we have the two options. Option A. So we start with the option A. Option A. So the option A, they can issue the full amount, 200 million, at a par value. So they can issue the 200 million, at par value of 10 shillings. At par value of 10 shillings each. So meaning, from this information, you can get the number of shares for option 1. Number of shares of option 1, you can get them, which is 200 divided by 10, which is 20 shares, 20 million. So remember, this one is million. So 20 million shares.
Hi everyone. Tuko topic gani? Me have just joined sielewi.
Tuko kwa point of indifference. Point of indifference. And you are doing the question for December 2024. The other day? Yes?
Oh, okay.
Kuna video niliwaambia msome. So kama hukusoma hiyo video, itabidi umerudi kusoma hiyo video, then ndio unakuja usome hii tunafanya leo. But sio necessarily, nitawaelezea. Tuko sawa? So there's a video I told you, I have shared with you in Telegram. You can go and watch it so that tutakuja tufanye revision. So kama huku watch, utahang kidogo but uta-recover. So let's go to option B. Now, issue ordinary share of 10 shillings each at 100. Now, they will not issue the 200, but they will issue 120 million at a price of 10 each. So meaning you can get the number of shares. This is a question for December 2024, question number 1C. Itakuwa number of shares itakuwa ngapi? Itakuwa that 120 million divided by 10. That will be equal to 12 million shares. Aya, option B bado hujamaliza. So wanasema option B, and the remainder will be, so the remainder of 200. So remember, we are supposed to source 200. So if we go with option 1 will source 200 using shares. So all the amount, 200 million, this one, they want to raise, they will issue through shares only. Option B, they can issue partly with the shares, partly with the debt. So with the debt in backing up, so 200 minus the other one, Remember, this one is for shares. Shares. So the remaining amount, so 200 minus 120. Ngapi? 80 million. This one will be issued now through debt. This one will be issued through debt. So anasema issue ordinary share 10 each at 120 million and issue 80% debenture to raise the remainder of the funds. So at 80%. So what is the interest? So we need to calculate the interest for option B. Interest is equal to 80% of the total amount they want to raise of 80 million. So the reason why I'm doing this is for the purpose of analysis. So let me take my calculator. So 80%, so 0.08 times 80 is 6.4. So 6.4 million. Now, wanatuambia required number A. Let's go to required number. Before we go to required number A, wanasema additional information number 1. The earning before interest and tax, EBIT. So we have been given information about EBIT. So the EBIT, wanatuambia it will be how much? The EBIT will be equal to 20% of the cost of the item. 20% of the cost of the item. What's the cost of the item? The hapa. So they want to raise 20 million to buy the new machine. So itakuwa ni 20% of that item, of the cost of the equipment. So EBIT will be 20% of the cost of equipment. So the cost of equipment they want to raise. So they want to raise 20 million to buy new equipment. So this 200 million is the cost of equipment. So remember that 200 million is the cost of equipment. Cost of equipment. So because they are raising that amount, so they are raising 200 million to buy the new equipment, meaning the cost of that equipment is just that amount they want to raise. Ametuambia the EBIT is 20% of the cost of equipment. So 20% of 200. How much is that? So 0.2 times 200, which is 40 million. Remember, they can either use option 1 or option 2 to buy this machine. So remember, they can either use option A or option B to buy this machine. If they use option A, they shall use shares. So watatumia shares. So advertise their shares to the public, will raise 200 million. If they say to use option B, they shall use 2 options. Shares, watatumia shares 120, and partly 80 million itakuwa ni debt. Wataborrow 80 million from the bank. So that 120 plus 80, you make 200. But again, option 1, borrow all this amount using shares. Now we want to see now required number 1. We have to advise on the best method. We have to advise the best method. So you can see the best method. So we have to advise on the best option. So the best option is the one with highest EPS. With the highest EPS. Now we know the formula for EPS. So EPS, so tuanze na option A, itakuwa ni EBIT minus interest, tutoe tax, then we divide it with the number of shares. Number of shares. So EBIT tuko nayo, so we don't need, so we have the EBIT day hapa 40 million. Interest, so remember the option 1, so EBIT tuko nayo. So option 1, do you have interest? So option 1 iko na interest. Someone to tell me option A.
Aina.
Yes. Aina. So interest ni 0. Kwa sababu hakuna deni. Then we remove our tax 0.3. So our tax is 30%, so 0.3. Then we divide with the number of shares. So what's the number of shares in option 1? 20. So what will be our EPS? Itakuwa ni 40 times 0.7. So 1 minus 0.3 is 0.7. So 40 times 0 minus 0 is 40 times 0.7 is 28. So 28 divided by 20. So what will be the EPS? Kenya shillings per share. So 28 divided by 20. Remember it is in million. Our figure is in million. This one So itakuwa ngapi? 28 divided by 20 Kenya shillings 1.4 per share. Let's go to option next. EPS, option B. So we have our EBIT, the 40. Interest. So what's our interest? Give me the interest. Wewe mute huo ni nani? Huyo mwenye ameunmute mwenye anaitwa sijui what. Tuambie the interest. Na umute, ukinipea interest you mute. So what's the interest?
6.4.
Yes, 6.4. Tunatoa tax 0.3. Then you divide with the number of shares. Number of shares for option 2 ni ngapi? Hapo itakuwa ni 40 minus 6.4 which is 33.6 times 0.7 over 12. So inakuwa ngapi? So times 0.7 itakuwa 23.52 over 12. Itakuja ngapi? Kenya shillings. So what the best option? Ukisoma hii swali, the best option is the one with the highest CPS. So which one is the best option? If you are to advise, which one is the best option? Best option. So we say pick option B. Pick option B because it has the highest EPS, earnings per share. Are we okay up that point? Tuko sawa? Mpaka that point? Wala la la.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Let us go to part. Yes, that one is correct. So let's go to part B. Part B anatuambia consider the above range, calculate the possible range of the market price of each finance option. So the market price. So how do you get the market price? Market price. So part B, our market price is equal to the price earning ratio. Price earning P over E times E. So times E. So PE is price earning ratio, and then E the EPS. So to answer the first one, so let us start with option A. Option A. So what will be our market price? So option A, what will be our market price? So price earning ratio is 8. So in the additional information number 3, price earning ratio is 8. What about EPS of option A? The 1.4. Option B, MPS is equals to 8 times our market price is 1.96. 1.96. So what would be our market price in that question? There is what tumemaliza hivyo. There is nothing else. Hiyo swali tumemaliza hivyo. So tunasema 8 times 1.4. Tunapata Kenya shillings 11.2 per share. And then 8 times 1.96. 15 Kenya shillings 15.68 per share. Sio swali iko sawa? So which option is best? The one with the highest market price, hivyo. But unasema the possible range. So the possible range unasema hivi. So part B, so this one is part A advice, part B, possible range of the market price per share is 11 Kenya shillings, 11.20 to Kenya shillings, 15.68 for option A and B, respectively. Hiyo tumejimaliza hiyo swali hivyo. That is the end of that question. Any question with that one? Any question with that one? Let's go to another question. Let's go to September 2015. September 2015. So nafanya zenye ziko kwa ile nini? So I'm doing the questions zenye sijafanya kwa ile. So nafanya maswali zenye sijafanya kwa ile group, kwa ile PDF yetu, kwa ile video yetu kwa Telegram. So, ukienda kwa Telegram, maswali zenye ziko hapo, I'm not going to repeat them. I'm just going to do the ones zenye sijafanya. So September 2015. September 2015. September 2015. September 2015. Let me find it.
Iko page.
September 20, page 1C.
Page.
Ndio natafuta. Hata ungekuwa umetafuta na itafuta. But for September iko huko chini. Huko chini kabisa, sama huko chini. Page 105. Question number 1B. Page 105. Question number 1B. Page 105, question number 1B. Now remember this question tumefanya. This is not a question for point of indifference. You need to be very keen. This is not a question for point of indifference. The point of indifference, so when we are doing the question of point of indifference, it is only applicable where we don't have EBIT and EPS. So ukipata swali yenyewe wanakuambia you calculate EPS and at the same time wanakuambia you calculate EPS. Now you know that was the question of point of indifference. In this one, washatupatia EBIT. Kiangalia swali yetu hapa. If you check this question clearly, tulikuwa tushapatiwa EBIT. So the EBIT was given. Now, because the EBIT is given, this question that was stated in that sitting, it borrows some concept in point of indifference. It borrows some concept in the point of indifference. But you need to know. But you need to know that this question is not a question for point of indifference. A good question for point of indifference is this question for September 2015. Question number 1B. September 2015. Question number 1B. It's a very long question. It's a very long question. It requires a lot of time. Let us do it. So nimeamua kufanya hiyo because it is very lengthy. So September 2015, question number 1B. That is on page 105. Page 105. So that one is the question for point of indifference now. So let us think about that question together. Let us think about that question together. Now we say, let me read the question. Let me read the question. Wanasema, MM Company Ltd is contemplating raising finance, additional finance for expansion program. The company is considered to raise 50 million. So amount to be raised. So amount to raise. Amount to raise is Kenya shillings 50 million. So this is the cost of that program. So the 50 million is the cost of that program. And then the company existing capital structure is given below. So we have the existing capital structure for that company. Then we have option 1. Now, ukiona umepata swali kama hii, kitu ya kwanza is to calculate the items. So tuanze na option 1. Now option 1. Option 1. So option 1, they can raise this 50 million. So they will raise this 50 million. So they will raise this 50 million. At which at a par value of how much? The par value is, they will issue this. So issue the new ordinary share at par to raise the additional desired fund. Now, this million will be issued at the par value. What's the par value? The par value is Kenya shillings 20 per share. 20 per share. Now, but remember, as much as we are doing this question, additional option 1, remember this company is still paying some debt. So ukienda juu pale kwa capital structure yako pale juu, the company wako na already 60 million ordinary share capital, wako na already 25 debenture, and wako na already 12% preference share capital. Those are the items already wako nayo. Now, when we compute this item, we need to consider those items. So kitu ya kwanza kupatia swali kama hiyo, unaangalia the capital structure. Does the company has the capital structure? If yes, consider the items. So if it has the capital structure, consider the items. So number 1, let us consider the number of shares. Number of shares. So number of shares itakuwa ngapi? Now, number of shares itakuwa this 50 million. They are intending to raise over 20. We add the existing. Now, the existing are the one in the capital structure. So let's go to the capital structure. We have 60 million. Ordinary share capital, 60 million. So we like a 60 million. At which price? At a par value of 20. So you need to consider the items in the capital structure. So those are the number of shares we have. So the 50 million they want to raise and the 60 million that they have already in their capital structure per June. So we have 60 million per June. So what is the number of shares if they decide to? So remember, this is the existing. Remember, this is the existing shares. And then this is the number of shares itaongezeka if they borrow extra 50 million through shares. So remember, option 1 is through shares. So if they borrow all the 50 million through shares, ni kumaanisha we have already existing shares. Lakini wakiborrow another 50 million, the number of shares will increase. So what will be the total number of shares? So it increase from, itakuwa ngapi? So this one plus this one. So itakuwa ni 50 divided by 20 plus 60 divided by 20. So the total number of shares itakuwa ni 5.5 million shares. Aya, option 1 still, we need to calculate the interest. So existing interest. On debt. So existing, there's go capital structure. So if you go to a capital structure and the existing, so number 1, 10% debenture. 10% debenture going at which price? Going at the price of total debenture ni ngapi? 25 million. 25 million. So so how much is that? 0.1 times 25, which is 2.5 million. Umeiona? We also have another existing interest, that is preference shares. So existing, yes.
How do you know that you are supposed to calculate all these things? Existing interest, you're supposed to calculate number of shares.
Yes.
And existing preference shares.
Did you go through the videos that I told you? The answer is no, Silvio. The answer is no, Silvio.
No.
Now, let me tell you why we are calculating this item. This is the reason. Let me give you the reason so that you see. We know at the point of difference, so it was here for now. I want to show you why. That's why I told you to go through the video so that we don't come and explain so much. So we know at the point of indifference, at the point of indifference, at the point of indifference, EPS of option 1, so EPS of any option must be equal to EPS of another option, must be equal to another EPS of another option. So any option provided, the EPS must be the same. The EPS must be the same. The question is, how do we compute EPS? EPS is equal to EBIT minus interest, 1 minus tax, minus preference shares, minus preference interest, preference shares, preference interest, over number of ordinary shares. That is the formula. Now, how do we know what item are we supposed to do to compute? Number one, number of ordinary shares. We need to compute number of ordinary shares of a given option. So, for example, option 1, ndio nimeanza na compute the number of ordinary shares. The number of ordinary shares of option 1 ni the amount yenye iko na the new amount. So, yenye iko ni 60 million in our capital structure. That is existing. Ukiona the word capital structure, just know, ukiona the word capital structure. Capital structure represent the existing figures of that company. The company figures that they are there. So they exist. So ukiangalia capital structure yetu, we had 60 million. Tukianza pale ordinary share capital 20 per value and then 60 million. Now 60 million is the total number or total amount of the share capital. But remember, this company wants to raise an extra 50 million. Kumaanisha wakichukua 60 plus 20 watakuwa na more amount. So kumaanisha the number of shares must also increase. So that's why we are calculating the number of shares of the existing one. Then you add the number of shares of the new one. The new one is 50 million divided by 20. Here hapo. So number one. The reason why we are calculating this figure. So we need the number of shares. Number two, we need the interest. If you have, kama your capital structure iko na deni, na kwa yetu kiangalia we have debenture. So we need to calculate the interest. That's why I'm calculating the interest. Hiyo hapo. Na ukiangalia kwa swali wametuambia it is 10%. So the interest is 10%. 10% of what? 10% of the total amount. Total amount is 25 million. And then ya mwisho, we also need to calculate the preferred dividends. Let me call it the preferred dividend because that is the most appropriate word to use. That is the most appropriate word to use. Let me call it the preferred dividends. Let me just call it the preferred dividends, which is in form of interest. So remember, it's in form of interest. Wametuambia ni ngapi? Kwa sababu wametuambia ni 12%. 12% of what? 12% of the total figure, which is 15 million, if you can see it. So you calculate it. Now, do you see the reason why we are calculating these items? Do you see? So we need the interest, we need the preferred dividends, and we need the number of shares. Are you seeing the reason why you need those items?
Yeah, I've seen.
Yes, so wewe haukupitia your video. So make sure you pitia your video because you can get some insight on that. Now let's continue calculating these items. Let us continue computing those items because we need them. So let's continue computing those items because we need them. So tuendelee, wanatuambia, so we are still on option 1. So 0.12 times 15. This will be equal to 1.8 million. 1.8 million Kenya shillings. So 1.8 million Kenya shillings. I think we have managed to do option 1. So we have managed to do option 1. We can go now to option 2. Let's see option 2. Option B. Now option B wanasemaje? Now issue the ordinary share at par to raise that million. So out of the 50 million, now mukwe very keen. Out of the 50 million, we are going to raise that million. That million at a par value is the same, par value of 20. Meaning, what will be the number of shares? So number of shares, if you want to raise that million. So remember, kuna bado tujamaliza. So if we raise that million, how much is remaining to raise? Remember, you're supposed to raise 50 million. If we raise that million, how much are we supposed to raise? The extra amount?
20.
20. So 20 will go through which item? Debenture. So debenture will be raised that one. So the 20 million will be raised through debenture. So upper number 1, we raise through shares. This one is through shares. So if you raise through shares, the commercial number of shares will increase. So to answer the new shares, the one is 30 million divided by 20 shillings plus the existing. The existing kawaida is 60 million divided by 20. So what will be the total number of shares if we raise 30 million through shares? Total extra shares, the one is 30 divided by 20 plus 60 divided by 20. So the total number of shares itakuwa ni ngapi? 4.5 million shares. I think hadi hapo tuko sawa. What else do we need? We need interest on debt or debenture. Interest on debenture. So we have the existing. So we have the existing 10% times 25. That's the existing. But the extra amount. Now the extra amount when mtuambia hapa wamesema the extra amount will be raised through debenture. Now the debenture nasema itakuwa na which interest? So the debenture will be raised at 15% interest. So remember the extra amount. So to raise 30 through shares, how much is remaining? 20. So this 20 will attract an interest of 15%. 20 million. So the question is, what will be the total debenture? What will be the total debenture? So itakuwa ni 0.1 times 25 plus 0.15 times 20. So we shall have Kenya shillings 5.5 million shillings. So 5.5 million shillings. We are remaining the last one. Existing preferred dividends, preferred shares, sorry, which is form of interest. So the 12% times 15 million. That one 1.8 million shillings. Hiyo tumemaliza hivyo. Now we can now go to part A. So let's go to part A. Before we go to part A, wanatuambia the management are optimistic that this investment will enable the company to operate an annual operating EBIT whose forecasted value in different set of nature and probabilities of occurrence will be given as follows. So we have the probabilities in their operating EBIT. So that one we don't need it for now. For part A, we don't need it. So requirement part A, tax is 30%. So requirement tukitumia 30%, tunatumia kwa formula. So I determine the level of expected EBIT. To determine the level of expected EBIT and expected earning per share at the point of indifference. Now we know, so we say at the point of indifference, let me use another pen. So we know at the point of indifference, At the point of indifference, we know that the EPS of option 1 must be equal to EPS of option 2. So we have two options here. We have option 1 and option 2. So this one is called option, kwa sababu amesema option 2. Na hiyo amesema ni option 1. Supposed to be that way. I think the swali inasema option 1 and that one is correct. Now, but we know how do we get EPS? EPS is equal to EBIT minus interest 1 minus T minus preferred dividends over number of shares. Over number of shares. That is the formula. That is the formula. So for you to get the EPS, so how do we get it? So tuanze na EPS 1. Let us start with the EPS 1. So EPS 1 tunajua we don't know our EBIT. So EPS 1 hatujui our EBIT. We don't know our EBIT. I what about interest? So option 1 we know the interest. Option 1 we know the interest ndio hii hapa 2.5. The interest is 2.5. Tutoe tax 0.3. Then tutoe the preferred dividends ndio hii hapa. The preferred dividends mean 1.8. 1.8. We divide it with number of shares. The number of shares ndio 5.5. 5.5 must be equal. So hiyo ni EPS of option 1 must be equal to EPS of option 2. So option 2 we don't know the EBIT because of it we have to calculate EBIT minus our interest. So option 2, what's our interest? Our interest ndio hii hapa. Because tumeka compute hapa. You can say it 5.5 to tax, then to minus preferred dividends. So our preferred dividends is still 1.8. It is not changing. Divide it by the number of shares, which is 4.5. So find EBIT. So find EBIT. So find EBIT. So should I wrap the upper part now? Should I wrap the upper part? So now should I wrap the first part?
Yes.
So we want to solve this question, this part. So let us expand this equation. So tuchukue itakuwa ni so to minus c. So itakuwa ni EBIT. So we can say EBIT. That is not clear. Can change this one. We say EBIT. EBIT minus 2.5. Tax itakuwa 1 minus 0.3. Itakuwa ni 0.7 minus 1.8 is equals to 5.5 must be equal to, huko ingine itakuwa ni EBIT minus 5.5 itakuwa ni 0.7 minus 1.8 over 4.5. I think that one is correct. So we open the bracket. We open the bracket. So 0.7 times EBIT itakuwa ni 0.7 EBIT 2.5 times 0.7, 2.5 times 0.7 itakuwa ni minus 1.75 minus 1.8 over 5.5. Haya, huko itakuwa ni 0.7 a bit. 5.5 times 0.7, 3.85 minus 1.8 over 4.5. So let us open this one kabisa. So 0.7 a bit. So minus 1.7 must be equal to, so minus 3.85 minus 1.8 inakuwa ni 0.77 a bit, which is 5.65 over 4.5. So find the bit. How do we find the bit? In that case, we can cross multiply. We can cross multiply. We say, so we're going to cross multiply itakuwa ni 4.5 into bracket 0.7 a bit minus 3.55 is equals to, now this one times to go 5.5 into bracket 0.75 a bit minus 5.65. So we can do that one. So we open. So 4.5 times 0.75. So 4.5 times 0.7 itakuwa ni 3.15 a bit. And then 4.5 times 3.55. 4.5 times 3.55. So it'll be equal to 15.975. Must be equal to the other side. Must be equal to the other side. The other side tunasemaje? The other side itakuwa ni 5.5 times 0.7, 3.85 a bit, 3.85 a bit, then 5.5 times 5.65. That will be equal to 31.075. So we connect the item together. So hii ikuje huku na huyu aende huko. So let's connect the item together. Tutasema 3.15 a bit. So ikuje huku minus 3.85 a bit must be equal to minus 31.075. So ikuje huku itakuwa ni plus 15.975. So give me, so 3.15 minus 3.85 itakuwa ni minus 0.7 a bit equals to minus 31.075 minus plus 15.975 itakuwa ni minus 15.1. So what will be the value of a bit? Itakuwa ni minus 15.1 divided by minus 0.7. So how much is that? So it is 21 point, remember it is in million. Remember it is in million, so dakika zote. So dakika 57, because it is in million, 57, 14, 57, 14. Ama tuweke tu mara mbili. Let's just put this one. Kenya shillings. So million, so it is in million. Million shillings. Are we okay up that point? Are we okay up to that point? Are we okay up that point?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's find the EPS. Let us find the EPS. So allow me to drop this part. So EPS, you pick any, you can pick this one or the other one. So pick any, it will give you the same EPS. pick any, it will give you the same EPS. So pick any. This one's 0.7. So EPS. So the EPS, if you use the first one or the second one, the EPS of option 1 or the option 2, to give you the same answer. So tunasema 21.57 minus 25 minus 2.5. Tutumie hii. Let us use this one. This one is simple. Hii hapa hii. This one is simple. Acha tusitumie huko juu. This one is simple. Ya chini hapa, this one. We use this one. Tutumie hiyo, so tuseme 0.7. So tutumie hiyo option 1. So another person can use this one and to compare the answer. Tunasema 0.7 times 21.57 our EBIT minus, so our EBIT ndio hapa tumepata hapa 3.55 over 5.5. It will also, so mwenye anatumia the other one, let us use the other one also. 0.7 times our EBIT 21.57 minus 5.65 over 4.5. I think the EPS should be the same. So the EPS should be the same because this one is for option 1, this one is for option 2. So 0.7 times 21.57 minus 3.55, then divided by 5.5. So the EPS is Kenya shillings 2.0 2.01 per share. Try the second one, 0.7 times 21. So remember our answer is in million. So remember our EBIT, this EBIT is in million. So 21.57 minus 5.65 divided by 4.5. Are you getting 2.01? Yes? Are you getting the same? Are you getting the same stuff?
I'm getting 2.1, not 2.01. If you round off the 9, it comes to 2.1.
Okay. So that's how you're supposed to do part A. Tuko sawa? So part A walikuwa wanatuambia determine the level of EBIT. So the level of EBIT ndio hii. Determine the level of EBIT, that is it, 21.57 million. And the earning per share. And the earning per share ndio hii. At the point of indifference. At the point of indifference. At the point of indifference. Number B, determine the range of the expected operating profit within each financing option will be recommended. Hint, you use a graph.
I have a question.
You have a question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Why are we not subtracting EBIT less interest in this case while finding the EPS?
Why are we not subtracting what?
EBIT, because the formula is EBIT minus interest, then in brackets 1 minus tax. Why in this case have we not said EBIT minus interest?
So the reason why we have not said it because we have compressed the formula. So remember look at the question tukianza. We said that at the point of indifference, the EPS of option 1 must be option 2. Tukafika hapa. Nimetumia this one because this one is a compressed formula. Iko na hizo vitu ndani already. Tumesha compress. So you can decide to use the other one. If you want, it's okay. You shall get the same answer. If you want to use the original one, the original question yenye ilikuwa huko juu. Kulikuwa na hii na kulikuwa ingine juu yake. If you get the same answer. But mimi nimeamua kutumia because this one is a simplified version of the other formulas. Tumekuja tukisimplify mpaka tukafika hapa. Si ni kweli?
Yeah.
Yeah, so unaweza tumia hii ama utumie huko juu. So this one is the best one kwa sababu already haina mambo mingi. Tumekuja tukipunguza, tumekuja tukisimplify, tumeanza step 1 huko. The point of indifference, EPS of option 1 equals to EPS of option 2. Tukapeana the formula, tukaweka hizo figures, tukakuja tukijaribu kuzitoa, tuka times C times C times C, tukakuja tukizireduce hadi tukafika kwa hii equation, this one, which is it's an easy one to input. But if you input also into the first equation, we shall get the same answer. So it is not sio lazima uweke hapo, unaweka hata huko ya kwanza. It will give you just the same answer.
Okay, nimeelewa.
I think iko sawa. I think that one is okay. Now, let's go to part B. Now, part B, wamesema we need to use a graph. So they have given us a hint. So kama wangekutupatia hiyo hint, this question ingekuwa very, very hard to do it. So in an exam, kama angekuambia, so hii sura anatuambia part B, determine the range of the expected profit within which each financing option will be recommended. Hapa kutuambia hapo hint. A graph may be used to answer this question. Now, how do we draw this graph? Now, this is how you do it. This is how you do it. We need to come up with a table. We need to come up with a table. So we need to come up with a table of EPS1. EPS1. I want to say option 1. Let's just say, option 1. A table for option 1. And you also need to come up with a table of option 2. Hapo inaonekana. So this is the table. This is the table. So mimi nafanya rough. So we need the EBIT and we need the EPS. Then we need only 3 points so that you can draw in a graph. 3 points is enough. Usiweka points mingi itakusumbua. Same to this one, we need the EBIT and EPS. That table is enough. So let us draw that table. Now, when EPS, so doesn't option 1. Remember this is our option 1. Remember our option 1 ndiye hii hapa. Wacha niichore hapa vizuri. So option 1 ndiye hii. If you can see it. 0.7 EBIT minus 3.5 over 5.5. Then option B ndio hii, option 2, 0.7 EBIT minus 5.65 over 4.5. We just need the option. The first option tuko nayo. I think the first option tuko nayo, tunaweza sema when the EPS is 2.1. When the EPS is 2.1. When the EPS is 2.1, what will be the EBIT? So here tuko now, what is the EBIT? 21.57. Is that one correct? But hiyo tuko sawa. Ya kwanza tumeshajijazia. We need that 3 points. So the first point ni hiyo. When EBIT is 2.1.57 for those two options, we know that our EPS is equal to the same. Do we agree on that one? Have we agreed on that one? Before the end. Now let us assume. Okay, that one is okay. Let us assume what about when the EBIT is 0? So when the EBIT is 0 in option 1, what will be the EPS? Calculate for me. Itakuwa ngapi? Itakuwa minus 0.65. Are you agreeing on that?
Yes.
What about here? What about that one? So itakuwa 0.7 times 0 minus 5.65 divided by 4.5. Are you getting 1.26 minus 1.26?
Yes.
We need to pick another one. Because tumechukua 0 and our maximum figure is 21, we can pick can we pick 10? We try 10. A bit as 10. Because our figure is in million between 0 to 21. So we can pick any figure hapo ndani. Ukweli ama uongo?
Ukweli.
Sawa sawa. Now tuseme itakuwa ngapi? So itakuwa 0.7 times 10 minus 3.55 divided by 5.5. 0.7 times 10 minus 3.55 divided by 5.5. Mimi napata 0.6 0.63. 0.63. Are you getting 0.63?
Yes.
Yes.
Tusonge ya huko chini 0.7 times 10 minus 5. 0.3.
Yes.
Now can you try and draw this one in our Cartesian plane? See, we try it because it's just a sketch. Because also in an exam, don't worry. When you draw a sketch, even if you're not accurate, you shall get the answers. You shall get the marks. Because are we okay?
Yes.
Now we are drawing this one to know which option is the best at which level. At which level should we pick a particular option? So at which level should we pick in a particular level? So let us see. Let us try and see. So we are now it's just a sketch. So I will try to be accurate as I can, but I will not force it. So we have negative figures. So this one is our EBIT, this side always. It's our EBIT. And this side is always our EPS. So what's our maximum EPS? Our maximum EPS is 2.1. So kumaanisha tukisema 1, 2, 3 itakuwa sawa. So hapa ni 2.5, 1.5, 0.5. And then tunasema minus 0.5, minus 1, minus 1.5. I think imefika hapo, hakuna negative kubwa. So the biggest negative 1.26. So iko somewhere just around hapo. Aya, what about our EBIT? The maximum EBIT is 221. Now the minimum EBIT, so tuangalie, so tuko na 10, 0 na 21. So tunaweza na 5. Ama tuende na 5, 10. Tunaweza na ngapi? Ndio ifike, wacha tuende tukena 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Hiyo iko sawa? Sivyo tukifanya hivi iko sawa? So we can now try and sketch. Mnasemaje? Can you try and sketch now?
Yes.
Let us try option 1. So we start with option 1. So when it is 21, it is 2.1. 2.1 iko around hapa. Remember, it's just a sketch. So it is not the correct one anyway. It is around 21 iko hapo katikati. Hapo. When it is 0, it is negative 0.65. So negative 65 iko somewhere hapo. Somewhere hapo. And then when it is 10, is 0.6363 iko somewhere hapo katikati. Now we need to join this figure. Sijui kama yangu itakubali kujoin. Anyway, option 1. Option 1. Remember, lazima zikatane at 21 point. At what? At where our EPS is 2.1. So lazima itakatia somewhere hapa. Let us see. Now the first one, hii inabaki hapo penye iko. That one is fine kwa sababu 21 to 21.7 ni hiyo the same. Ikiwa 0, EBIT ikiwa 0, hiyo inakuwa ni minus 1.2. So 1.2 iko around hapo. Iko somewhere around hapo. Then ikiwa 10 ni 0.3. 0.3 iko somewhere hapo. So kumaanisha hii kitu inaenda kukatia pale. So, ukumbuke hii kitu inakuja kukatia hapa. Inakatia hapo. So inafaa ikuje katia hapo. Yangu sijachora vizuri. But you need to know inakata hapo. Yangu inakaa ni kama sijaienda, ni kama sikufunzwa drawing when I was in option 2. So umeona? So our figure ndio hiyo. Now that's how you are supposed to draw it. Haikai mzuri sana, but at least you can. So what you need to know now, what you need to know is this. The line ukianza, for example, tukianza hapa, ukiangalia, tukianza na hii line inaenda hivi. That's what you need to know. Tukianza na hii ya kwanza, ukiangalia hadi up the point of intersection, penye zina intersectia, option 1. Option 1 iko side ya juu. I want you to notice that one. So inaanzia hapa ikikuja at the point of intersection, option 1 iko side ya juu. But from this point kwenda mbele, option 2 imekuja side ya juu. I want you to notice those two items. Option 1 is best from 0 up to 21 million. So anything above 21 million, option 2 iko juu ya line ya option 1. Meaning option 2 is best for anything above a bit of 21.57. Now this is how you give advice. So this is how you give advice. This is also supposed to give the advice. Now option 1, since is above line 1 between a bit of 0 and a bit of 21.57 will be considered the best option. Will be considered the best. You consider the best options of financing. Why? Why do you think we shall consider this one as the best option of financing? Between 0 to 20 million. This is the reason. Because the EPS is more. So ukiangalia option 1, as we keep on moving, the EPS will be more up to this point. So the EPS is on the upper side. So this line is on the upper side of the option 1. So itakuwa the best option. So option 1 will be the best option because the EPS will be automatically more than the option of option 2. But anything above 21.7 million, ni kumaanisha option 2 inakuja juu yake. So option 2 will be considered the best. So, and then another advice, above a bit of Kenya shillings 21.57 million, option 2. Option 2. Yes, option 2 will be considered appropriate. Will be considered appropriate. So majority of what option 1 is the best between 0 to 21, and option 2 is best between 21 to a bit to kwenda mbele. So umejua reason why nimesema hivyo? So umejua sasa? Umejua sasa? Yes, and tueleze mbona tumesema hivyo. Can you repeat? Na Kiswahili useme mbona tumechukua option 1 between 0 to 20, 21.57, and reason why tumechukua a bit option 2 between 21.57 and above. And Mboso, amani what? Mboso amani, I don't know. That one marks the end of our class. And amekataa kuongea, sijui mbona. Someone else anaweza comment on that one again, ama arudi kenye nimesema, so that the rest ndio tuone kama mmeelewa. Yes, Cynthia.
Mimi sijaelewa hiyo nini ya kwanza, advice ya kwanza. Hiyo option 1.
So tumesema option 1 is best. Nimeandika nini hapo? So option 1 inafaa ikuwe hivi. Since option 1 is above the line. Is above the line. Our line hizo mbili. Is above the line between Allah. This ni maajabu. Let me just write it again. Nilikuwa nimeandika vitu gani hapa? Tunasema option 1 is best than option 2. Option 2 because option 1 line is above option 2 line. This means EPS of option 1 so option 1 is best than option 2 because option 1 line is above option 2 line between. So look at the word between a bit of Kenya shillings 0 million to Kenya shillings 21.57 million. So there's a lot to option 1 because of option 1. Angalia, this is option 1. Let me put it in another ink. This is option 1, the one in red. So the one in red is option 1. The one in red is option 1. So the one in red is option 1. So ukiangalia between 0 to 21.57, option 1 is above. So option 1 is above option 2. So option 1, this line is above this other line. So the line in red, which is option 1, is above the line in blue, which is option 2. So that's the reason why we are saying option 1 is best between 0 to 21.57. But ukiangalia hapa, now look at this point. Now kutoka the point of intersection. Remember the point of intersection ni hapa. 21.57 kwenda mbele. Now above a bit of 21.57 million, option 2 will be considered appropriate. Reason why? Because it is above option 1. So because the line, the option 1 line, the option 2 line is above Option 1 line. So Cynthia, umeona venye tumesema?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. So that one marks the end of point of indifference. We shall meet tomorrow, same time. So with that one, I wish you a good night, and kindly please go and read the point of indifference from what? From Telegram. So I shared some items on Telegram. So it will be prudent of you to go and check them. So kindly to go and check them and do those questions. So kuna swali nimefanya hapo kwa hizo videos. So kindly make
Mwalimu,
sure you review. Yes.
before we close, I wanted
Yes.
to ask, why were you given the EBIT, operating profits, and the probabilities in that question? Why
In that question.
were we not to use it here?
Oh, yeah. But we are supposed to use it in part C. We are supposed to use it in part C. So kumbe tujamaliza swali, tumalize hiyo swali part C, then we close the class. So part C, kumbe tujamaliza part C. Allow me to wrap this part now because we know tumejua what we are supposed to do. So just allow me to do part C. Kumbe kuna part C we haven't completed. So that one we are supposed to use in part C. So let's go to part C. So natuambia with reference to the be above, indicate the finance option that will be recommended, assuming the company is paid profit of the forecasted. No, the forecasted yenye tumepatiwa pale juu. So the forecasted yenye tumepatiwa pale juu. So forecasted tumepatiwa pale juu. Forecasted, so close na number 1, the forecasted one. So the forecasted one, we have the probability at 0.4. So to get the expected EBIT, unasema 0.4. So 0.4 times 20. So mimi naweka in 20 because of million. So it's supposed to be 20, it's supposed to be in 1,000. So walifanya makosa hapo. It's supposed to be in million. So inafaa iko 20 million. So there's an error there. 0.25 times 15 million, and then 0.35 times 10. So how much? Mnapata ngapi? Give me the figures. So give me the figures. Simunipe figures bwana.
$15.25.
15.25. 15.25.
Yes.
Now what if you use the figures ikuwa zote venye wameweka hapo 20,000. Ukisema 20,000 tukirudi pale kwa hiyo swali yetu, if you go back to our swali. Ya kwanza ni 20,000. Ukiweka in million, what will be the figure? Juu swali yetu remember iko in million. So leo itakuwa ina make sense. The figure itakuwa ni, to make it in million, itakuwa ni 20,000 divided by 1 million. 0.02. So 0.02. That one is not making sense. Si ni ukweli? Ukweli ama uongo? That one is not making sense at all. So mimi naona we assume that the 20 is 20 million. Let us assume it's supposed to be 20 million, 15 million, and 10 million, so that tupate 15.2. Now unajiuliza, this 15.2 million, where does it lie? Is it below 20 million or is it above 20 million? Is it below 20 million or above 20 million?
Below.
Below.
Below 20 million. Now, below 20 million, which option is better? Is it option 1 or 2?
Below.
Below 20 million, which option is best? Na tulikuwa tumeshaongelea hapo juu. Umeshasahau tena. Ni gani
So
yenye
option
below?
Option 2.
Yes.
1.
Option
Option
1.
1. Option 1. So we are saying for forecasted forecasted EBIT, option 1 is better. Is best. Alright, let's go to the next part. Wanatuambia number B. 6 million per annum. Now EBIT of 6 million. So hii tushapatiwa EBIT of 6 million. 6 million means 6 million. Si hivyo? Si ni kweli? Which option is best? Which option is best? Still, it is option 1. So for EBIT of 6 million, option 1 is still best. Aya, number 3. EBIT of how much? So if the EBIT is 15 million, which option is best? Still option 1. So for EBIT of 15 million, option 1 is still the best. Option 1 is still the best. Unless the EBIT is more than 21.57. Unless the EBIT is more than 21.57, you pick option 2. So if the organization want to use this EBIT of 6 million or 15 million, or the expected of 15.25 million, then it should the organization should consider option 1 as a financing option. So option 1 will be the best financing option. So that was 1 mark, 1 mark, and 2 marks. 1 mark, 1 mark, and 2 marks. That one marks the end of that equation. The question, I think, was 20 marks. Not 20, it was 16 marks. So the question was 16 marks. So that one marks the end of the class. So Oliver, uko sawa?
Yes.
Sawa sawa. So that is all about the point of indifference. So make sure you go through the videos, have more time to do your revision. Stephen Obango, unasemaje? Naona umeunmute.
No, niko sawa. Nili-unmute kitambo.
Sawa sawa. So that one marks the end of our class. So make sure you do a lot of revision from time to time. Make sure you do what you are doing, because that is what you shall get in an exam. So make sure you just have an idea. So with that one, I want to wish you well. We meet tomorrow. Linet, uko sawa? Ujaongea? Linet?
Yeah, yes, niko sawa.
Okay, sawa sawa. So we meet tomorrow, same time.